We'll start the class from here. Okay, whatever we discussed, communication. That is your unit 4. What communication means, what are the different types of communication, we already discussed. And also we discussed this one-way and two-way communication. What is the difference between one-way and two-way communication? The only difference is feedback. You remember this word? In two-way communication, you are getting the response. You are getting a feedback. Then we also discussed about the process, different elements of communication, senders, receivers, feedback, noise, encoding, decoding, and different media we have discussed. We also discussed different types of communication happens in organization, formal communication, informal communication, and different direction of communication, downward, upward, horizontal, vertical. Up to here we discussed. Today we'll discuss some new concepts on communication, different barriers of communication, and how to improve your communication skill. We have some points, we'll discuss on those things. This is what I opened is barriers of communication. What is barrier? Anything stopping you to communicate. Anything is a break or in a stopper in communication. Suppose तमें जने को कथा कहूच जन को गोटे कम्युनिकेट कर जे कौन सी मीडिया रे हो जे कौन सी मीन्स रे हो but you are not able to do that, complete that because of some reason. That is called barriers. Then first one is semantic barriers. Suppose तमें ओडिया रे जन को कम्युनिकेट कर that other person doesn't know ओडिया से बुझी पारनी. In that case, you have to talk a language where the other person knows. Or you need a translator, how that person will understand Oriya. So that is called semantic barriers. Semantic barriers are also known as language barriers. These barriers are caused due to improper communication between the senders and receiver. However, way you are communicating, the other person is not able to interpret it, understand it. That is language barrier typically. That is called semantic barriers. Second one is psychological barriers. Psychological barriers is what? Psychologically, a person is not ready to listen you. Psychological barriers plays an important in interpersonal communication as the state of the mind of the sender and the receiver can make it difficult to understand the information that is conveyed, which often leads to misunderstanding. Suppose तमे गोटे कथा कहूच जन को गोटे इंस्ट्रक्शन दौच, the other person is not in a mood to listen. The other person गोटे किसी गोटे प्रोब्लेम है निज पर्सनल लाइफ रे किंबा से बहुत रागी क्या तुम से गोटे कथा कौच सी किसी शुणी पारनि कि तुम जिनस बुझी पारनि. He is in a different psychological state when you are communicating something. That is psychological barrier. ଯେତେବେଳେ ତମ କମ୍ୟୁନିକେସନ ବ୍ରେକ୍ ହେଇଯାଉଛି ତମେ କ'ଣ କହୁଛ ସେ ବୁଝୁନି ତା ମୁଣ୍ଡରେ କିଛି ପ୍ରୋ ହଉନି ସେ. That is psychological barrier. So you understand what is semantic barriers, what is psychological barrier. Organizational barrier. Organizational barrier is certain rules and regulations. There are certain organization which has some protocol. Organizational barrier are those barriers that are caused due to the structure, rules and regulation present in the organization. Suppose गोटे organization that is top hierarchy, they have a protocol. You cannot talk to him. ଆମର କଣ୍ଟ୍ରିରେ ପ୍ରେସିଡେଣ୍ଟ ଅଛି, ପ୍ରେସିଡେଣ୍ଟ କିମ୍ବା ପ୍ରାଇମ ମିନିଷ୍ଟର, ସେ ଯେତେବେଳେ କିମ୍ବା ଆମର ୟୁ ଥିଙ୍କ ଅବାଉଟ୍ ଆୱାର ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣର, ରାଜ୍ୟପାଳ ଯେଉଁଠି ମିଟିଂରେ ଆସନ୍ତି, ହି ହ୍ୟାଜ୍ ସର୍ଟନ୍ ପ୍ରୋଟୋକଲ୍, ତାଙ୍କର କିଛି ନିୟମ ଅଛି, ରେଗୁଲେସନ୍ ଅଛି, କିଏ ତାଙ୍କ ସହିତ କଥା କହିବ, କେତେ ସମୟ ସେ ରହିବେ, କ'ଣ ଭାଷଣ ଦେବେ, ଏଭଳିଆ କେତେଟା ପ୍ରୋଟୋକଲ୍ ଅଛି। ବିକଜ ଅଫ୍ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ no one can talk to him। ତମେ ଭାବୁଥିବ ରାଜ୍ୟପାଳ ଆସୁନି, ମୁଁ ଯାଇ କଥା କହିଦେବି। You cannot follow that because there are certain rules, some regulations, some protocols that happens in organization, in big company ତାଙ୍କର ବି କିଛିଟା restriction ଥାଏ। Because of that restriction you cannot talk to anyone, that is organizational barrier। These are different barriers। Cultural barrier, culturally you both are not same। Suppose ତମେ ତମେ ଗୋଟେ କଲଚରରେ ଅଛ, ତମେ ଓଡ଼ିଶାରେ ରହୁଛ, you know Odia culture very well, you talk to someone who is in South India or North India, and you are symbolically giving quotation to your culture, and that person is not able to understand anything because he is not aware। Suppose, for example, take about your culture, you have a culture of eating pop rice, mudi ତମେ ଖାଉଛ, that is your culture, or ପଖାଳ ତମେ ଖାଉଛ, but you are telling the same thing, you are giving that word when you are communicating to a person who has no idea on that culture। ତମେ ଜଣକୁ କହୁଛ ସେଇ କଥାରେ, ତମେ ସେଇ ଏକ୍ସାମ୍ପଲ ଦଉଛ, they are not able to understand anything because there is a huge difference between your culture and that culture। So that is cultural barrier। So whenever you are talking, you have to consider the difference between the culture। Physical barrier, physical barrier means, suppose any physical damage, physical barrier of to communication are those that arises due to certain factors like faulty equipment, noise, crossed doors, cabins, and cause the information sent to sender receiver and to become disturbed when results in improper communication। For example, if you are using a loudspeaker which is not working, its machinery is bad, if you are using a phone, the phone is not working, or something you are communicating, you are telling, at that time there is a lot of noise from the background, there is a big procession going, there is a big loudspeaker going in the road, there is a big what is that called, drum party is going on the road, so lot of noise, your voice is not audible to others, whatever you're communicating, that kind of barriers are physical barriers। Physiological barrier, physiological barrier, suppose you are telling something and you are expecting the answer from the other person, but the other person is not able to hear you, he has problem in his hearing capacity or not able to speak anything, he has problem in his speech, so he is not sound psychologically, physically, physiological barrier, or he has some disease, he cannot express your words, or he cannot give the response as you expect। So these are the different barriers, different stopper for the communication: semantic barriers, physiological barrier, psychological barrier, organizational barrier, cultural barrier, physical barrier, like that। So you have all these different barriers which is stopping the communication, which is interrupting your communication। You can remember these points, then you can write. Next thing, we'll understand what are the skills, how to improve your communication skill. Suppose you think you are not good in communication. So how to improve your communication skill? ତମେ କେମିତି ତମର କମ୍ୟୁନିକେସନ ସ୍କିଲଟାକୁ ବଢେଇବ? First thing is listening. Listen, listen, listen. Listening ରେ କ'ଣ ଫାଇଦା ହବ, କ'ଣ ଲାଭ ହବ? ତମେ ଯଦି ଗୋଟେ ଅଧଘଣ୍ଟେ ଗୋଟେ ସ୍ପିଚ୍ ଶୁଣିଲ କିମ୍ବା ଟିଭି ଲଗେଇ ଦେଇକି ନ୍ୟୁଜ୍ ଦେଖିଲ, ଇଂଲିଶ ଚ୍ୟାନେଲ ଦେଖିଲ, ତମେ ଇଂଲିଶରେ କମ୍ୟୁନିକେସନ ପଢିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛ, ସେଥିରୁ କ'ଣ ଶିଖୁଛ? ୟୁ ଟ୍ରାଏ ଟୁ ଅଣ୍ଡରଷ୍ଟାଣ୍ଡ। ଇଂଲିଶରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ନ୍ୟୁଜ୍ ରିଡର ଯେତେବେଳେ ନ୍ୟୁଜ୍ ପଢୁଛନ୍ତି, you try to understand, you try to learn at least one vocabulary, one word in the entire half an hour speech. So today you learn one word, and learning one word will not help unless you understand the meaning, usage of that word. Suppose तुम गोटे word को capture कला ये news रे, then you understand the meaning of that word, how to use that word, usage of that word, तुम केमिति से वर्ड टाको व्यवहार करवा, को लैंग्वेज रे व्यवहार करवा, केमिति को सेंटेंस रे यूज कला बेले वर्ड हो जे सब जानि गला परे, then you can use that when you are communication, you are doing, you are talking to your friends, your family, and you are communicating. So listening is very important to improve your communication skill. The second thing is who you are talking to matters. ତମେ କାହା ସହିତ କଥାବାର୍ତ୍ତା ହଉଛ, ତମର ସାଙ୍ଗ କିମ୍ବା ତମର ପ୍ୟାରେଣ୍ଟସ୍, ଗୁରୁଜନ, କି ସାନ ପିଲା, କି ତମର ଟିଚର, ତମର ବସ୍, ତମର ମ୍ୟାନେଜର ଅଫିସରେ, ତମେ କାହା ସହିତ କଥାବାର୍ତ୍ତା କରୁଛ ସେଟା ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାଣ୍ଟ। ସେଟା ତମେ ଜାଣିବା ଦରକାର ଯେ କ'ଣ କେମିତି ତାଙ୍କୁ ଆଡ୍ରେସ୍ କରୁଛ, କେମିତି ହ୍ୟାଲୋ କରୁଛ, କ'ଣ କରୁଛ, ନମସ୍କାର କରିବ କି ନାହିଁ, ଗୁଡ୍ ମର୍ଣ୍ଣିଂ କି ଗୁଡ୍ ଆଫ୍ଟରନୁନ୍ କହିବ କି ନାହିଁ, କେଉଁ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରିରେ ସିଏ ଅଛି, କେଉଁ ଟାଇମ୍ ଜୋନ୍ରେ ସିଏ ଅଛି, ଏଗୁଡ଼ା ସବୁ ଡିପେଣ୍ଡ କରୁଛି। ତେଣୁ ତୁମେ କାହା ସହିତ କଥା ହେଉଛ ସେଟା ଜାଣିବା ଦରକାର। ବଡି ଲାଙ୍ଗୁଏଜ ମ୍ୟାଟର୍ସ। ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ କ'ଣ, ବଡି ଲାଙ୍ଗୁଏଜ ତୁମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଫିଜିକାଲି ଜଣଙ୍କ ସହିତ କଥାବାର୍ତ୍ତା କରୁଛ, ଇନ୍ ଫୋନରେ ତ କଥା ହେଉଛ, ଜଣେ ଜାଣିପାରିବନି, ଶୁଣିପାରିବନି ତମର ବଡି ଲାଙ୍ଗୁଏଜ, କିନ୍ତୁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ତମେ ଫିଜିକାଲି ଜଣକୁ ଆଡ୍ରେସ୍ କରୁଛ, ଜଣଙ୍କ ସହିତ ପର୍ସନ ଇନ୍ ଏ ପର୍ସନ ଜଣକୁ ମିଟ୍ କରୁଛ, ସେତେବେଳେ ତମର ବଡି ଲାଙ୍ଗୁଏଜ, ତମେ କେମିତି ଚାଲୁଛ, କେମିତି ଏକ୍ସପ୍ରେସ୍ କରୁଛ, ତମର ଫେସିଆଲ, କେମିତି ତମେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ହ୍ୟାଲୋ କରୁଛ, କେମିତି ୱିଶ୍ କରୁଛ, କେମିତି ରିପ୍ଲାଏ ଦେଉଛ, ସେଗୁଡ଼ା ସବୁ ମ୍ୟାଟର କରୁଛି। ତମେ ସବୁ 10 ମିନିଟ୍ ପାଇଁ କହୁଛ, କେମିତି ଏକ୍ସପ୍ରେସ୍ କରୁଛ, ହାତ କେମିତି ହଲଉଛ, ଗୋଡ଼ କେମିତି ହଲଉଛ, ଏଗୁଡ଼ା ସବୁ ମ୍ୟାଟର କରୁଛି। କେମିତି ବସିଛ, କେମିତି ଏଣ୍ଟର କରୁଛ ରୁମ୍ରେ, ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ମ୍ୟାଟର୍ସ। Your body language matters a lot. Check your message before you send the hint. Suppose ତମେ ଗୋଟେ ଇମେଲ ଲେଖୁଛ, ଗୋଟେ ମେସେଜ କରୁଛ, ବେଳେବେଳେ ଆମେ ମେସେଜରେ ଗୁଡ଼ାଏ ଟାଇପ୍ ଭୁଲ କରନ୍ତି, ଗୁଡ଼ାଏ ସ୍ପେଲିଂ ଭୁଲ କରନ୍ତି, ସାଙ୍ଗ ପାଖକୁ ପଠାନ୍ତି ଚଳିଯିବ, କିନ୍ତୁ ତମେ ଯଦି ଗୋଟେ ଅଫିସିଆଲ ଲେଟର ଲେଖୁଛ, better you read that letter before you send the button, before you hit the button send. So if you read it, at least you can capture some grammatical error, some spelling mistake, some sentence structure. So it's always a good habit to read whatever you are sending. Next thing is be brief yet specific. Be brief means ତମେ unnecessary ଗୁଡ଼ା ଜିନିଷ ଲେଖିବା ଦରକାର ନାହିଁ। ତମେ ଯାହା କମ୍ୟୁନିକେଟ୍ କରିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛ, ଯେଉଁ ମେସେଜଟା ଦେବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛ, you tell clearly the same message. Not necessarily you will write so many things, that is not required. Write things down. ତମେ ଯଦି ଗୋଟେ ମିଟିଂ ଯିବାର ଅଛି କିମ୍ବା କ'ଣ କରିବାର ଅଛି, କ'ଣ କହିବାର ଅଛି, better you make your point, write the things down. Don't rely on your memory. Suppose ତମେ ଜଣଙ୍କୁ ଶୁଣୁଛ ଗୋଟେ ମିଟିଂରେ ଗୋଟେ କ୍ଲାସରେ ବସିଛ, ବେଳେବେଳେ କ'ଣ ଆମେ ଭାବନ୍ତି ହଁ ଯାହା ଶୁଣାଗଲା ମୋ ମନେ ରହିଯିବ, ବିକଜ you trust your memory. Suppose you have a notepad, you have a pen and paper. You make those points, whatever the teacher has spoke. So later, once you come to your home, you can cross-check, you can read, you can refer. So those points are very much helpful. So always make an habit to write the things down. Sometimes it's better to pick up the phone. Suppose ତମର ଜଣକୁ କଥା କହିବାର ଅଛି, ଜଣକୁ ଗୋଟେ ମେସେଜ ଦେବାର ଅଛି କି ଜଣକୁ ଗୋଟେ ବୁଝେଇବାର ଅଛି, ତମେ ବେଳେବେଳେ କ'ଣ ଭାବ ଯେ ମେସେଜରେ ଚଳିଯିବ କିମ୍ବା ଆଉ କାହା ଦ୍ୱାରା ଚଳିଯିବ କିମ୍ବା ହ୍ୱାଟ୍ସଆପ୍ରେ ଚଳିଯିବ, ଚିଠିରେ ଦେଖିଲେ ଚଳିଯିବ, କିନ୍ତୁ ବେଳେବେଳେ କଥାବାର୍ତ୍ତା କଲେ ବହୁତ ଇଫେକ୍ଟିଭ ହୁଏ. If you call that person, you will speak the same thing. So things will result like that. Anything you can resolve by talking, which is not possible over phone or message. So it's always better to talk a person whenever the situation depends. Think before you speak. Suppose you are speaking to someone, what to speak, you frame your speech, think something. Without doing that homework, don't speak at all. So whenever there is a speech, if you have to speak to someone, you think what to speak, you prepare for that. Treat everyone equally. Do not talk down to anyone. Treating everyone with respect. Treat others as your equal partner. That means what? Whoever you are talking, everyone is equal. Give respect to everyone. Don't think that this person is big, this person is small. Even if you are talking to your subordinate, a junior person, you have to equally give the respect to think everyone. And maintain positive attitude and smile. Whenever you are talking to someone, whenever you are speaking, you are picking up the phone, you smile, say hello, don't be arrogant. So this kind of attitude, this kind of behavior will help you in your communication. So when you are smiling, the other person is able to judge something, able to listen something with your smile. So that means he is thinking, okay, you are in a good mood. So anything can be talked, anything can be discussed. So that makes a big difference when you are smiling, when you are giving your attitude positively. So these are the tips or basic guidelines. Once you follow, you can improve a communication little bit. It doesn't mean that you can be a very successful communicator once you follow this. These are the small tips. First thing, you have to have a strong command in your language. Whatever you're talking, Odia or English or Hindi, you should know the language very well. Then you talk in that language. Then you follow all these tricks, all these tips to understand how to communicate in an effective way and a better way. I will repeat these things. Listening is one important factor. Then you have to understand to with whom you are talking. That is most important thing. Body language. Body language is one important thing. And always recheck your message, whatever you are typing, whatever you are sending. So you recheck your message before sending it. And be brief and specific. Always give the exact message what exactly you want to pass. Don't write so many, don't write story, such a big message, no one will read that. And write down the things. Don't trust on your memory and your brain. Whenever you are listening or making some, attending some lecture, make your own notes. Write down the points, whatever you listen. Later you can refer that, you can quote that, you can cross check that. So that will be useful in many ways. And sometimes talk to the person instead of writing message, writing WhatsApp message, giving the speech through someone or writing a letter. If you speak to the person, a lot of things will be clear in a very quick time, in a very short time. Think before you speak. Whenever you are speaking, you have to think what you are speaking, what is your content, what is the gist, what message you are trying to give, how much time you are speaking, whether that thought is covering with that time or not, how to expand or minimize the thought, what you are trying to pass. So that type of analysis is required. That is what told in point 8. Think before you speak. Point 9 is treat everything with same respect, same equally. No one is small, no one is big. Then last thing is with positive attitude, with smile. You speak everyone with good mood, good attitude, good smile. So these are the different points to improve your communication in an effective way. Another important thing we read about transactional analysis. What is transactional analysis? There are two words, transactional analysis. This is a analysis, we know. What is transaction? Anything we give money, purchase, and we know that is a transaction. Suppose you give money and buying something, that is a transaction. But here in this context, transaction is different. Whatever communication we are doing between two parties, I am asking you, what is your name? You are telling that I am Barsarani. That is transaction. Supla. That is transaction. So once you are asking something or communicating something and getting the response, so that transaction is complete. So when you are analyzing that kind of communication, there are three different types, different state of communication, how people are behaving in any organization. So you think about all the people across the world or any organization. So they are divided into three types of any communication happening across the world. They are divided into three different states, three different ego state. Ego don't understand the word ego, but it is different here. Based on this analysis, there are three different states. That is called as ego state. Transaction analysis is the method used in the analysis this process of transaction in communication with others. It requires us to be aware of how we feel, think, and behave during interaction with others. It recognizes that our personality is driven by a different ego state. It is an analysis of social transaction. It is a self-analysis. There are different theories, different logic behind it, but we'll understand what the minimum thing, what is required for you. This is developed by Eric Berne in 1950. Transactional analysis is a technique to explain why individual behaves in specific way without throughout their life. That means I will give an example. Whenever you are speaking, sometimes the ମାନେ କେତେ ଲୋକ କୁହନ୍ତି ନା ଗୋଟେ ପିଲା ଭଳିଆ ବ୍ୟବହାର କରୁଛୁ, ବାପାଙ୍କ ଭଳିଆ ବ୍ୟବହାର କରୁଛୁ, ମା ଭଳିଆ ବ୍ୟବହାର କରୁଛୁ. That is parent state, adult state, child state. That means whatever behavior we are talking, whatever behavior you are showing, how you are talking, either they are into parent state, adult state, or child state. There are three types of state. That is called ego state. So parent state means behaviors, thoughts, and feelings copied from parents and carriers as we are going in present. You are not a parent, but you are behaving as a parent because you learn something from your parent. ତମେ ଗୋଟେ ପିଲା ଭୁଲ କରୁଛି ତାପରେ ରାଗି ଯାଉଛ, କାହିଁକି ରାଗୁଛ? କାହିଁକି ନା ତମ ବାପା ବି ସେମିତି ରାଗୁଥିଲେ. You learn from your parents. That is parent state. Whatever behavior, whatever work you are showing, demonstrating, so you inherit some culture from your parents. ରାଗି ଯିବା କିମ୍ବା ସପୋଜ ତମେ ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷ ଖାଇବାକୁ ଭଲ ପାଉଛ, you like some particular vegetable or ପିତା ତୁମ ଖାଇବାକୁ ଭଲ ଲାଗେ, କାହିଁକି? ତମ ବାପା ବି ପିତା ଖାଉଥିଲେ, ସିଏ କହିଥିଲେ ପିତା ଖାଇଲେ ଭଲ, ତେଣୁ ତମେ ସେଟାକୁ ଲାଇକ୍ କରୁଛ, ତମେ ସେଟାକୁ ଭଲ ପାଉଛ ବିକଜ your parents told you. That is parents. Adult state মানে this is very much calculative. You are thinking like an adult. You are thinking, ଆମେ just ପୂର୍ବରୁ ପଢୁଥିଲେ, you think before you speak. ତମେ କଣ କରୁଛ, କଣ ଭାବୁଛ, କଣ କହୁଛ, ତା ପୂର୍ବରୁ ତମେ ମାନେ you are giving a thought, you are analyzing that, how it is impacting, what is the consequences, whether এটা କହିବି କଣ ହବ, এটা କଲେ କଣ ହବ, ମୋର ଭଲ ହବ କି ଖରାପ ହବ, you are thinking. That is adult state. You are not influenced by your parents, your child. Child state is little bit different. ବେଳେ ବେଳେ ତମେ ଦେଖିଛ ପିଲାମାନେ ଯଦି ଭୁଲ କଲେ ଗାଳି ଶୁଣୁଥିବେ, ଯଦି ଗୋଟେ ପିଲା ସ୍କୁଲରେ ଖରାପ ନମ୍ବର ରଖିଛି ତାକୁ ଗାଳି ଦଉଛି, ସେ କଣ କରିବ? ସେ ତାର ମୁହଁ ଲୁଚେଇକି କାନ୍ଦିବ କିମ୍ବା ତଳକୁ ମୁହଁ କରିଦବ. ବେଳେବେଳେ ତମେ ବଡ ହେଲା ପରେ ବି suppose you are facing the same situation, your teacher is scolding or your supervisor is scolding, you are not done a good work, ତମେ କଣ କରୁଛ? ମୁହଁଟା ଲୁଚେଇ ଦଉଛ, ତଳକୁ କାଢୁଛ. That is child state because you are behaving like a child. You are not a child, but you are behaving like a child. ବେଳେ ବେଳେ ଛୋଟ ପିଲାଙ୍କ ଭଳିଆ ହବାକୁ ଇଚ୍ଛା ହବ. That is child state. So these are the three different types of behavior, different types of state: parent state, adult state, child state. So this kind of analysis is given in transactional analysis and developed by Eric Berne. So whatever behavior, whatever communication we are demonstrating, we are communicating, so everything can covered under these three category, three types of behavior. That is known as transactional analysis. Whatever transaction we are mm, making in this world, any transaction, these are either parent state or adult state or child state. So whenever communication happening between parent to adult, adult to child, child to parent, so there are different type, different understanding, different theory. So in the same analysis, we can understand another concept which has given three different types of communication, types of transactional analysis. In the next slide. This you understood the different state, different position or different types of communication. Whatever you are communicating, they are categorized into different types. Then you will understand another things. Complementary transaction. Complementary transaction is parallel. Cross transaction, non-complementary transaction. Then ulterior transaction. These three types of transactions will understand. What is complementary? Complementary which one when the same type of communication happen between two states. Suppose whatever you are communicating and the response you are getting the same way. You are going to a shop, you are asking the half shirt and the person is understood and sange sange तमको से half shirt कढ़ी देखो. Now, whatever you are communicating and that person is understanding the same thing. So that is complementary transaction. Communication between two people, its ego states are parallel. That means ତମେ ଯାହା କହୁଛ ସେ ଲୋକଟା ବୁଝିପାରୁଛି ପ୍ୟାରେଣ୍ଟ ଷ୍ଟେଟରେ ତମେ କହିପାର ଯୋଉ ଷ୍ଟେଟରେ ତମେ ଅଛ ସେଇ ଷ୍ଟେଟରେ ସେ ଲୋକଟା ବି ଅଛି ଯାହାକୁ ତମେ କମ୍ୟୁନିକେଟ. Second thing is cross transaction, non-complementary. Here communication between two people whose ego state do not align, do not match. Suppose ତମେ ଗୋଟେ ଦୋକାନ ଗଲ ମଲ୍ ଗଲ ତମେ ତମର ଦରକାର ଗୋଟେ ହାଫ୍ ସାର୍ଟ କିନ୍ତୁ ମହଲରେ ଚାରି ପାଞ୍ଚ ଜଣ ଅଛନ୍ତି ସେମାନେ କେହି ତମ କଥା ଶୁଣୁନାହାନ୍ତି ତାଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ସେମାନେ କଥାବାର୍ତ୍ତା କରୁଛନ୍ତି ସେମାନେ କଣ ଡିସ୍କସ୍ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ତମେ ରାଗିଗଲ ପଳେଇ ଆସିଲ ତମେ କହିଲ ଏଠି କେହି ଶୁଣୁନାହାନ୍ତି ତେଣୁ ମୁଁ ଯାଇକି ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଦୋକାନରୁ କିଣିବି. So here the communication, the transaction is not complete and the state is not matching. Whatever you are communicating and whatever they are explaining you is not matching. That's why it is written communication between two people where ego state do not align. So that means whatever you are communicating, they are not getting that response. Another thing is ulterior transaction. Ulterior transaction means this is a different type. There are two different meanings of single word. Suppose I asked you, there are 10 members in the class. I asked everyone to give a project. I asked one question, one diagram or whatever. So you have to complete and give me a project by so and so date. So you all submitted. So one of you did not write anything, gave me the blank paper, did not write the answer, did not draw any graph. Everyone wrote nicely. So in the class, I will tell, let's take a name. Who is this class Barsarani? Suppose you have not given the answer. So I will tell, okay, Barsa will ask me, how is my answer? I will tell, okay, you wrote nicely. I took a lot of time to evaluate yours. So that means what? Whatever I told the other people, they understood in a different way. They thought that Varsa wrote very well and got a higher. But Varsa knows that she did not write anything. So that means whatever I am telling has double meaning, has dual meaning. I told something to Varsa, but whatever I told is different than whatever I mean. So I have a hidden meaning on my speech. So that means I told that you wrote nicely. That means you did not write anything. That I know, and whoever submitted the project, that person knows. The other people came to know that maybe I am appreciating. So that type of communication has dual meaning, ulterior transaction. Communication in which senders of information appears to be engaging in an adult to adult transaction but simultaneously send the information to the receiver childly ghosted as well. So I have given one example to understand this. That means it has an hidden meaning. So whatever I am communicating, I intended to tell something different, but I am telling something different. So one should not go by the speech, whatever I told. My meaning, my intention was different. So this is ulterior transaction. So the transaction carrying a different meaning altogether. So there are three type of transaction. Complementary, that is parallel; non-complementary, that is cross transaction; ulterior transaction, it has hidden meaning, dual meaning. There are three types of transaction are present in this communication analysis, transactional analysis. So there are three state, you remember: parent state, adult state, child state. Exactly write the same words and remember this one who has developed this theory, transactional analysis. You can mention this as a meaning. Then what are the different types of transaction? Complementary, parallel transaction, cross transaction, non-complementary, and ulterior transaction. This thing you remember, you can write elaborately all these things. With this, your communication chapter of Unit 4 is complete. This is important. We can give one more class on this. Next class will go to chapter 5, unit 5. We'll end the class here, and if you have any question, let me know. Thank you.